Mr. Ivery's way of coping with the horrendous crimes that he committed. I will give you the benefit of that doubt, Mr. Ivery. I think not. Unless you want to talk to your lawyer if there's something more you want to say, but this generally isn't the time to have a dialogue. Mr. Schwantes from Ms. Cullen? No? Okay. So, I've gone through all of those things that the court has to consider. We've talked about all the defendant's personal characteristics. We've talked about the nature of the offense. We talked about the need for the public to be protected. And finally, the court has to acknowledge that prison is appropriate when confinement is needed to protect the public from further criminal activity by the defendant. We know this in this case, based upon all the evidence and the presentations here. We also know, and the offense of conviction acknowledges that. We know that the defendant needs correctional treatment, which can most effectively be provided if he is confined, and that treatment can be provided while he's confined and also protect the public at the same time. The court has to sentence every defendant with the minimum amount of custody or confinement consistent with the protection of the public, the gravity of the offense, and the rehabilitative needs of the defendant. In terms of predicting human behavior, I often say, especially in situations like this where people have committed heinous offenses and have no prior record, we have no crystal ball, and there is no crystal ball. It's a predictor of human behavior, and we do not know with any certainty what Mr. Ivery will be in the future, who he will be in the future, what path he will choose to follow from today. That is up to him. The court can only make decisions based upon past behavior and evidence-based practices, which is what I have before me. So I'm going to first acknowledge here that in the prison system, Mr. Ivery, you are to participate in cognitive and behavioral therapy or any other program as is recommended. I'm going to order that you participate in an alcohol and other drug abuse evaluation, and that you attend treatment and counseling for that if it reveals that it is appropriate. The same with your mental health evaluation, and participation in appropriate programming will be ordered. You are to cooperate with any medication regimen that is prescribed for you, recommended for you, unless there's a process by which you believe it is not the right thing for you. Okay. Insofar as any other programming, I leave that to you, Mr. Ivery, to participate in as you choose. In terms of costs and fees and assessment, the court will impose the standard costs and fees and assessments with regard to each count, counts 1, 2, and 3. Those costs and fees and assessments will be paid from 25% of Mr. Ivery's institution funds, so that they can be repaid during the course of his sentence. I'm sorry. At this point, Mr. Ivery, the court finds that the offenses that you've committed, based upon the entirety of the record that's before me and the observations that I have made in the proceedings that we've had today, does merit as to each count, and these counts will be concurrent to one another, but as to each count, your sentence will be life imprisonment. and the court has determined, based upon all of the factors that I stated, that you are not eligible for release to extended supervision. Mr. Schwantes, you will file your notice of intent to pursue post-conviction relief, and then that concludes our proceedings. I will, please, thank you. I will file the written explanation, or you'll file the written explanation of determinate sentence, Mr. Schwantes. We have a copy of it for you here. Is there anything further from the state?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you.